We are not in the time of peace. We are in the time of war. All praises, honor, glory goes to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Racha, Quadash. Double honor to the apostles, Elder Bishop, the great millstone who rule well. Peace and blessings to you fellow brothers pushing his word in truth and sincerity, as well as peace to the rest of the elect, the men and few sisters that tune in to the doctrine of Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai, which great millstone teaches. All right, this is your brother Chanak coming back with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Racha, Quadash. And it's going to be real quick. It's late, but the spirit is still on me to actually go into this topic. I was going to do it in the morning, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it now. But it shouldn't be. It should be a relatively quick video. And basically, keeping the believers, the which really speaking to the choir, which we know, but one thing I've come to know and understand in this little time I've been in the truth is you got to keep saying the same thing over and over to Jake, because Jake will forget. Jake will not take it. When I say Jake, me and Jacob, our people are, we're in these fleshly bodies, and you can get comfortable, you can get complacent, you can get relaxed. We're not in that time of relaxation. We're at the point of any given moment. Okay, and all the prophets we're on spiritual edge. We're all standing upon our watch. The scriptures speak about how in Ezekiel the 3rd chapter, how the Lord he set us up to be watchmen, and a watchman, we're constantly watching. To see what when the enemy is coming in, and we see that the enemy has compassed around about the nation of Yasha'Allah, getting ready to lay siege warfare in the form of, Jacob's trouble, in the form of food shortages, famines, the diseases, war. And a lot of these things are artificially created. Okay, Esau, the artificer. Okay, but look, we're in the time of war. This whole peace deal, the 2-week ceasefire, which that's a fiasco because it's already been violated. It's already been violated. Because there will be no peace. Let me just go to Ecclesiastes. I'm gonna read a couple of headlines from the so-called fiasco peace deal. All right, and we know that there will be no peace. The scriptures say there will be no peace unto the wicked. All right, and we are not in the time of peace. We are in the time of war. Ecclesiastes 3:1, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heavens. So every time, every season has a purpose. Like the spring, we're in the spring now. The spring actually has a purpose. When we go into the summer has the actual purpose, these different seasons. And that also pertains to the time and season of prophecy. Everything has a purpose. Okay. A time to be born and a time, give me a second. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted, going into like the harvest. When you plant a seed in the ground, like now it's planting season, right? When you plant a seed in the ground, it doesn't grow automatically and instantly. It has to go through seasons. Then it grows. Okay, let me jump down. All right. Verse 8, a time to love and a time to hate. So right there in the scriptures, there's a time to hate, and there's a lot of hate in this earth. Okay, a time of war and a time of peace. And right now we're not in the time of peace. We're in the time of war. Let me go to some of these headlines, right? Ceasefire tested by confusion over Strait and strikes on Lebanon. And it was so-called peace deal made. And then you have the state of Israel. They went ahead and bombed Lebanon And from what I'm hearing, they said Lebanon wasn't part of the peace deal. Something like that. It's madness. There will be no peace. And if there's a small moments of peace, is just to prepare for the next round of chaos. And we're gonna get that in 1 Thessalonians the 5th chapter. We already know what it is. Okay, that was from the New York Times. And these are all elite controlled media outlets. But we can glean particular truths and glean particular narratives that line up with the scriptures, from these articles, because they have to pretty much, they have to tell you what's going on. I mean, these are the things that are actually going, like there's a war actually going on. There's people actually dying. I was meditating on that earlier today, still here in America, things are relatively still normal. You can still do normal things. You can go wash your car. You can go down to the pub, or the bar. You can get a burger. If you want some Indian food, go get you some Indian food, some naan, some buttered chicken. You a man or a woman, you can go on a date. But then on the other side of the world, people are literally being bombed. Like they'll be in their house, under fear, because it's not like they're just kicked back and just, it's not playtime right now for them. They're not in a jolly spirit. They're in a time of war. They're not in the time of peace. They fully understand that. Every waking moment, and every sleeping moment, the war is on their mind. They can literally die. You Americans never been in that situation where you are afraid that at any moment you can get hit with a drone strike or a missile strike. You're hearing sirens of missiles being flown, incoming missiles, and hearing explosions. And it didn't get you tonight. It didn't get you yesterday. But the fear of it could get you. And this is from the AP News. Iran accuses U.S. of violating parts of deal framework, says ceasefire. Live updates. Iran accuses U.S. of violating ceasefires as Israelis attack. So basically, whatever America says, they're going to lie to you. And the nations are, and them Iranians know that, that there will be no peace. It's in their spirit. Let me get Joel. It's in their spirit, man. All right, the Most High put it in their spirit to prepare for this time. They'll play the game. All right, they'll play the game. Even America's allies. Obadiah, you read Obadiah. Okay. Esau's his alliances are being broken up. Joel 3:9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near and let them come up. And it's a beautiful thing, because you can have people that, the scriptures say, what if some did not believe? You can have people that fight against what we have to say, nitpick what we have to say, scoff, scorn. But the reality of the matter is, it's happening. The reality of the matter is, a draft will be initiated. Okay, these young men here in America will go to war. They will be forced into that draft. Compulsory, which means mandatory. Okay, they're going to be obligated. Okay, that's the truth. You don't have to believe that, but you're going to be affected by that. Okay, we're coming into different times. Okay, so this is all prophetic. The Lord is saying, prepare, wake up, prepare the Gentiles, wake them up, prepare them for war. Basically, the Most High is saying, hey, telling the angels, put a warlike spirit on these heathens. Give them this weapon technology. Okay, give them ballistic missiles. weapon systems. Now, I was listening to, what's his name? He's a commentary. He's ex CIA. Was it Larry Johnson? Ex CIA. Is he ex CIA? I believe so. Analyst. Okay, he worked at the Department of Homeland Security, all that. And basically, if I'm not mistaken, I listened to him. Or was that no, that was a different one. I was listening to him earlier. But this was off Weon News, is an Elamite news outlet. And basically they did a story on how Germany pretty much is going to start to renuclearize. They can build a bomb, a nuclear missile, I believe they said, in about a month. They have that. Remember, a lot of this technology came from them Temanites, them Germans. They're the smartest of all the Edomites. And they have the capability to enrich uranium, weapons grade uranium within like 2 weeks. All the infrastructure is already there. Okay? It's just that America, through these so-called treaties, alliances, that, are stopping these other nations, even these other European nations, from yielding or wielding a nuclear missile or building up nuclear missiles. Verse 10, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. The mighty ones are the angels that are manipulating the minds of these kings to prepare for war. Okay, so the Lord is not going to say this and then he's just going to call it quits and call it off. And then everything's going to go back to normal. You're going to have Iran and America share the straits. And you have all these so-called analysts, all these ex-military, whether they're colonels, whether they're generals, okay, whether they're so-called professors, fake professors, these YouTube guys, so-called prophets, whatever you want to call them, influencers that are trying to make sense of what's going to happen and give you different scenarios. Well, the best case scenario, the worst case scenario, this, and that. They're all confused. They don't know what's going on. Nothing's going to go according to how they believe it's going to go down. And they're working off a so-called human rational mind, which is really irrational. And they're now working off of thus said the Lord, which we get it. We understand they're the heathen. Okay. The Lord, he showed his secrets to his servants, the prophets. Let me just get this last scripture. Remember, I said that's not going to be long. You see, if your algorithm ain't all jacked up, I mean, if you're watching this video, I'm pretty sure it's not. But we're constantly watching what's going on. Okay, and the so-called ceasefire, if they're putting it in the news and they're blasting it in the mainstream media, this is all distractions. And it was right before Trump said that he's going to kill a civilization. And then it was an hour before, the deadline. On Tuesday, Taco Tuesday, Trump always chickens out. Okay. Then there's so-called a peace deal arise. But the whole time, there really was no peace deal. Okay. They both sides really is the Israelis that violated the Israelis and Americans violated the peace deal. And that was just some it's all theater. And it's to prepare, you do like a little break, give your fighters a break before, let them rest a little bit and then throw their ass right back out there. That's all that it is. Okay. America's suffering heavy losses. That's what the other side of the narrative is. Okay. If you listen to the other side of the news, okay, what the Russians are saying, what the Iranians are saying, Iranian state media, you don't get that information here in the United States. The only time you get any information is if either it's leaked through, okay, and you got to watch it on different platforms, or America, they release it to fit into a particular narrative. First Thessalonians 5:1. But of the times and seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. Why nobody is you have people that are, stay in tune. They're actually consumed on the different events that are happening. Every day that you got people making videos about, what's happening. The different events that are going on, especially as pertaining to the war. You got people that really focus in on the economy. You got people that focus in on the elites and their agenda. You got people that just expose, a multitude of different events that are happening, psyops. Okay, people that are focusing on finance, economic collapse. Individuals that speak about the end of America power, the collapse of this modern society, the rising up of different, of what they call a multipolar world, where Russia and China and other nations are, sharing the power. Okay, you got a lot of people talking about a whole multitude of things, but we're bringing all these things together through the Holy Spirit. While they're arguing, bickering back and forth about, what the right did or what the left did, the Democrats or the Republicans, or even, speaking about the Epstein thing. Now, the crazy thing about it is the Epstein thing is like a thing in the past now. It's really not. It doesn't. This war is doing exactly what it's meant to do. Is meant to be a distraction. Okay, and everybody that was doing that shit on them islands, they're nothing's going to happen to them. They don't even speak about it in the news anymore. The next thing is Trump speaking about ending a civilization. Okay, so everything's been super sensationalized. Everything's been, made into a script, a movie. This world is a stage. Okay, the world stage. That's what they call it. Okay, but our while everybody else is focused on this and that and this, our focus is on prophecy. We still say, and we haven't budged, that the RFID microchip is the MOTB, and that will be released. And they're going to release it through the fog of war. They're going to release it through chaos. The Epstein file, that's going to be the least of your worries. You're gonna have to worry about how you're going to eat. You're going to have to worry about how you're going to be warm at night. Okay? Well, why your house is so infested with rats and roaches, which is going to bring diseases. So expect those ancient like diseases to come back. Like the bubonic and pneumonic plague. Expect those things to come back. Okay? For when they shall say peace and safety, excuse me, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. And that's basically what they're saying. Peace deal. You got the board of peace. It's just all over the place. It's just sloppy. It's all over the place. But that's the Edomite, and he's doing all these different things. He's weird. He's beating down the people, right? And he's wearing down the people. He's wearing down the saints of the Most High, right? He's wearing down the people of the world with all these enchantments. But he's actually wearied in all the multitude of counsels. So he tired because it don't make no sense. And people are like, well, it don't make. People are starting like, this shit don't make no sense. But there's still that Hegelian dialectic. There's still that doubt. There's still that confusion, that fog, that veil. The veil has not been fully lifted over the eyes of the people. That started with the elect. The elect have the veil fully lifted to see through that gross darkness. We actually have the light. We can actually see. The rest of the world, they can understand particular things. Like even in the dark, you can make out particular things. You might be able to make out shape of a body. You might know that there's somebody in front of you, but you can't fully You don't know any features. You might not know if it's a man. You might not know if it's a woman. Okay, you might think that you're able to see particular things, but you're not able to really get the full image. The light is turned on for us. If you're in a dark room, again, you can make out particular things. Okay, that looks like a table, that looks like a chair, but you could be wrong. If you turn the light on, you can see everything perfectly clear, pristine. Okay, that's what the Most High has given to us. That's that eye salve. We are able to see. Okay, what's the eye salve? A salve is it's a herbal preparation. Okay, it's a water-based and oil-based preparation. Okay, it's like 50% water and oil. Okay, with an emulsifier, like a beeswax, right? And so just like the owl has that oil, we have that oil. And what does the owl have that oil on its eyes? To be able to see through night, through the see in the dark. Excuse me. So this is a dark world, but we're able to see through it. We're able to see through all of Esau's lies, see through all of Esau's enchantments, and it's utterly madness. But hey, that's what the Most High set up for the end. Okay, and remember, Jacob's going to be delivered out of it. So that's just all on that. I pray the lesson was edifying. Until next time, shalom to the elect.